Hello beautiful people, and welcome back to my channel. If you are a new subscriber, welcome, and if you are a returning subscriber, welcome back. Everything that I use will be listed down below. Please don't forget to follow me on all of my social medias. And this video was live, but I ended up taking out the portion of me doing my brows because the video would have been much longer. But now I'm just adding on some eyeshadow base to my lids. And before I go in and add my eyeshadow, this is optional. You can use your concealer that you use for your brows if you want to. I just like to use an eyeshadow base because I feel like it shows up better. And I'm just making sure that I blend that out completely before going in with some translucent powder. I like to add translucent powder because it will help set my eyelid so I don't receive any creasing while working on one eye. And now from the eyeshadow palette, I'm going in with my Zoeva. This is the Cocoa Blend palette. I'm using Freshly Toasted as my transition color. And I'm just going to build this color up to make sure that the color really shows through. And a little actually go a long way with this shade, but I wanted to make sure that it really show through for the look that I'm going for. And I'm going to also completely blend this out before going in with any other color. You want to make sure everything is 100% blended together. You want everything to flow nice and smooth. And if you're wondering what I have on the side of my face, these are eyeshadow shields. They come really big, and I like to just use mine to cut in half because you don't need that whole big piece to sit under your eye unless you like it like that. And I just like to use this when I want the edges of this eyeshadow to be nice and crisp. Now I'm going in with Beans Are White, and I'm only adding this to the outer corner, and I'm tapping it into place before blending out the edges because I really want it to stay in the area that I placed it. And I'm lightly fading it towards the front again so everything can blend completely. You can add as much as you want, but I didn't want a lot of that brown to really show through, but just show through enough. Also, I will be doing a live makeup tutorial on YouTube, Facebook, as well as Instagram. So please make sure that you are following me, subscribe to my YouTube channel, as well as turn on the notifications so you don't miss whenever I post. And now I'm just going back in with that transition color to make sure that that brown didn't take away from that, and making sure that they are blended together. Now I'm just going to cut my crease, and for those of you who have struggled with cutting your crease, apply a little bit of concealer to the center bottom portion of your eyelid close to your lash line, and then look up, and that will make a line at the top, and it will create a guide for you to follow, just like you see me do here in the video. And then you just take your time and follow that guide all the way around, and it should give you the perfect stopping point for your cut crease. Now once you get the line at the top, you want to make sure that you are keeping it rounded and go all the way to the inner corner, and then work your way to the back, as well as bringing that product down. And I like to tap on mine to make sure that I'm drying the concealer down a little bit. You don't want to use a concealer that dries down faster, especially if you're a beginner, because it will dry down too fast before you even get a chance to blend it out. I like to use Tarte Shape Tape in the shade Deep to cut mine. You can use whatever concealer you want, but just make sure that it's one that don't dry down too fast. And now I'm just taking this brush and I'm just patting down the concealer just a little bit and making sure that the ends of the concealer I'm blending into that brown, just so that I don't have any harsh lines. And you don't have to pat it down if you don't want to. You can go in with whatever color you're using, but for me, I was going for a more natural look, so that's why I ended up patting it down and went in with some translucent powder. And now I'm just taking a clean brush and I'm just dusting away that excess powder. I'm going back in with Beans Are White and I'm just cleaning up that line a bit, because again, I don't want it to be harsh. And I'm still blending, making sure again that everything is nice and even. And I decided to bring a little bit of that brown to the front, just a little bit, not too much. And you can go in with a smaller detail brush to do so. I've just used what I've been using this whole time. And now I'm just going in to cut my crease again, adding some concealer to the center close to my lash line and looking up to create my guide, and just follow my guide along the way. And at this point, I decided to change up my look a little bit. And I'm going in with the NYX Glitter Primer. And this basically is a glue for the loose glitter. And I'm just adding that under my natural crease. I didn't want it to go above, at least not too much. And I'm just going to add this on both sides and make sure that it's nicely packed on there and blend it out a little bit before going in with my pigment. And the eyeshadow pigment that I'm using is called Luna. And again, everything that I use will be listed down below. And I kept using this brush because again, I want it to go directly underneath my natural crease. But then I ended up switching the brush out because this will take me all day if I continue to use this brush. This was my first time using this particular color and I absolutely loved it. It turned out so cute. And just to make sure that that glitter is blended in with that brown, I went back in with a little more of that brown shade, which is called Beans Are White. And I blended those two shades together just to make sure that everything was nicely blended. And you can switch back and forth between the brushes like I'm doing to make sure that everything blends together. I cannot stress this enough. I will not move forward with nothing else if I don't make sure that everything is nicely blended. Now I'm just taking my pinky gold liner plus glue and I'm adding, pretty much outlining or adding on the liner, excuse me, the same way that I would do my regular eyeliner, is just stamping it as closely as possible to my lash line and making it as thin at first, and then I will make it a little bit bolder. Just depends on what look I'm going for, but for this particular look I didn't want the liner to stand out too much, but just enough. And then I'm going to go and add a little bit of this same glue to the lash band and then place the lashes on. And with this liner glue, it do dry down a little fast, so you kind of want to move a little faster than what I was doing. But since I was on live and I was talking to people, I wasn't moving as fast as I normally do when adding this glue on, but it still worked out for me in the end. And sometimes I do and sometimes I don't. I will put on mascara before adding on my lashes. But as of lately, I haven't been putting on mascara before adding on my lashes because it simply, my lashes get in the way when I go to add on the liner, and I don't like that because it kind of smears the mascara around a little bit and I don't want to mess up my eye look. Okay, now that the eyes are almost finished, I'm going in with some primer. I already moisturized my face 100% before I even added any type of brow pencil, eyeshadow, anything to my face. And now I'm going in with my foundation. The foundation that I'm using is the Sephora Best Skin Ever. I'm in the shade 44Y. I love this foundation because it blends with my skin so perfect. A little goes a long way, and it's buildable. It's medium to full coverage. You don't need a lot to build up, or not to build up, excuse me, but you don't need a lot to cover up the dark spots on your face at all. I love it also because it has hyaluronic acid in it, which actually helps fade the dark spots as well. They also have a concealer. And everything that I use in any of my videos, I 100% pay for myself. Nothing is sponsored. And if I did receive anything free, I will say what I got was free and how I got it. For me, in the UAE, how the Sephora works here, I don't know how it works in the US because I didn't go to the Sephora back home, is if you have a loyalty card and you get up to 200 points, you will receive free items. And sometimes they have up to like 2 to 3 items that you can choose from, that being skincare or some type of makeup. Is 100% whatever they have on hand, and that's how I sometimes get my free items. So now I'm just adding on some concealer, and I'm using that Tarte Shape Tape concealer in the shade Deep. And I like to use this concealer because it's bright enough to highlight some areas, but it's not too bright that I have to kind of like tone it down a little bit. So I like to use that, and I'm just using that same foundation brush to blend that out. And I'm going in and fixing my brows a little bit because, as you know, I don't completely fix my brows until after I add on my foundation as well as my concealer, because whatever product is sitting in the center of my brows, I like to use that to fade into my brows to give me that ombre look. Lately, I've been loving blending out my concealer on my nose with my hand. I like the way that it look, and it does not take away from the highlighted look most of the time when I'm using like a brush or a sponge. Now, if you have a concealer that is not full coverage, let it dry down a little bit and it will give you a more of a full coverage. If you a type of person that want to use a sponge, keep in mind a sponge soaks up product. A brush will leave you with more of coverage, so keep that in mind. I like to use a brush most of the time, but I will sometimes go in with a sponge. It just depends on what look I'm going for. And I'm just setting that everywhere that I added concealer at, I'm just adding some powder, and this is translucent powder. I'm taking my triangle puff, it don't have anything on it, and I'm just patting that powder into place before going in with like my pressed powder as well as bronzer. I'm using Fenty Beauty bronzer. This is the Mocha Mami. I love this bronzer to add some color back into my face. Most of the time when I'm using this bronzer, I don't go in with blush. Sometimes I may go in with blush also, just to add some color back into the face. And I love the way that this look. It doesn't look too harsh once everything is blended out. And I'm adding a little bit of that bronzer onto my nose to contour as well. I like to use a real little bit on my nose as well as the rest of my face because this is very pigmented, and a little actually goes a long way. And I'm just going to take my foundation brush, of course nothing is on it, and I'm just going to blend everything out completely before moving on. And I like to really make sure that I'm blending around my hairline, just to make sure that it don't look like I have on a mask, but it look like everything is nicely flowing together. And right here, I'm just adding on a little bit of pressed powder, just to really make sure that I set under my eyes. And as you can see, I don't really like to bake. I like to add the powder everywhere that I need to add it and then dust the powder away. And I like to do this because I have dry skin, so I don't want to sit and let the powder sit on my face for a long period of time. And I'm just adding some MAC Fix and Plus spray to help that makeup really melt into my skin. And I'm using the Pinklite. And while that's drying down a little bit, I'm going in with a eyeliner just to add some color to my lower lashes. For the most part, I don't really do this because my eyes will start watering up and it will ruin my makeup. But this is the second time that I tried this and I actually like it. So I will make sure that I continue to add this to my routine. And I'm going to also add some mascara onto my bottom lashes. And I did go ahead and add some mascara to my top lashes, only in the inner corner, so that can blend with the falsies that I have on. And the lashes that I have on, because I don't think I mentioned it at the beginning, is Pinky Goat. And the name of the lashes is called Jamila. I love these lashes. And for my lips, I'm going in with my Wet n Wild brown lip liner. And then I decided to use that same brown that I used for my eyes, which is Beans Are White in the Zoeva Cocoa Blend palette. And use that as a lip liner instead. And you can use whatever eyeshadow that you want or have as a lip liner. It's easier to blend out. Or you can use concealer. I never tried the concealer method, but I will maybe later on in the future. And I added on a little bit of the NYX pigment onto my lips, that same shade that I used for my eyelids. And at first I didn't like it, but once I added the gloss to my lips, I liked it a little better. And there you have it. Hope y'all enjoyed this video. Please don't forget to like.